Can you place a mango tree and a tiger in a same group? Do you find any similarity between an amoeba and a bacteria? No, never. That means living organisms can be classified depending on how similar they are, and the process by which scientists group the living organisms is known as biological classification. Hello everyone, this is Dr. Madhushri Chatterjee and welcome to MC Biology classes. In today's lecture, we are going to start biological classification, and this is the chapter number 2 of class 11 biology. Okay, so without wasting time, let's start it. We all are well acquainted with a particular term, that is five kingdom classification. But we should remember that five kingdom classification was not the first system of classification. Before that also several other classification systems came. And the whole process started with Aristotle. Okay? The whole process started with the very famous scientist Aristotle. He is regarded as the father of biology as well as the father of zoology. Now I have a question for my viewers. Do you know who is regarded as the father of botany? If you know the answer, please write in the comment section below. Okay, so what Aristotle did? Aristotle divided plants depending on the morphological characteristics into trees, herbs and shrubs. And he also divided animals into those which contain RBC, that is red blood cell, and which does not contain RBC. Now, Aristotle's system of classification was not a conventional method of classification. It was the first scientific approach to classify living organisms. But the first conventional method of classification was two kingdom system of classification. Okay, the first one was two kingdom system of classification, and it was proposed by the very famous scientist Carolus Linnaeus. Okay, now Carolus Linnaeus, you all know, is regarded as the father of taxonomy. Do you know the name of his books? If you know the answer, please write in the comment section. So what Linnaeus did? Linnaeus divided the living organisms into two kingdoms. One was Plantae and the other one was Animalia. Now, what are the difference between these two kingdoms? In Plantae, he placed all the photosynthetic and autotrophic organisms. Okay, and in case of Animalia, he placed all the non-photosynthetic and heterotrophic organisms. But some problems came there. What are those problems? Chlamydomonas, Euglena, slime molds. These organisms showed similarity with both Plantae and Animalia. Then where to put them? And moreover, some other organisms were there that didn't find any similarity with either of these two kingdoms. So this is the problem. And then everybody understood that this system of classification is not adequate. So then came the second one, that is the three kingdom system of classification, and it was proposed by a German zoologist. His name is Ernst Haeckel. Okay, remember these names are very important for your NEET exam. Okay, now Ernst Haeckel, he did, I have mentioned, three kingdom. So he made three kingdoms. Plantae and Animalia, those two kingdoms are already present. Okay, so along with Plantae and Animalia, he introduced the third one, and the third one was Protista. The third one was Protista. What is special about Protista? Protista included those organisms which were unicellular yet eukaryotes. Okay, so Protista included eukaryotes, unicellular. But here again some problem arose with three kingdom system of classification. Again same problem, that is again some organisms didn't find any place, so rejected. Then came the third one, that is four kingdom system of classification. Four kingdom system of classification was proposed by Copeland. Okay, the name of the scientist was Copeland. Now what Copeland did? He gave four kingdoms. What are those four kingdoms? In case of Copeland's classification system, the first kingdom was Monera. Okay, he gave it another name. He said it's Mycota. These two are the same names. Okay. Now Monera included all the organisms which are unicellular and prokaryote, right? So Monera included unicellular and prokaryotic organisms. Now the second kingdom proposed by Copeland was Protoctista. Protoctista. That is much similar to Protista and it contained unicellular eukaryotes. Unicellular eukaryotes like that of Protista. And the other two kingdoms were Plantae and Animalia. Okay, Plantae and Animalia. Now you can find from this particular sketch or particular table that Plantae and Animalia are present from the very beginning. Okay, so these are remained unchanged. Plantae consisted of all the multicellular photosynthetic organisms, whereas Animalia consisted of multicellular but non-photosynthetic organisms. But again, four kingdom system of classification also showed some problems. What happened actually, in case of these classification systems, only morphological characteristics were taken into consideration. That was a big problem because some other characters should have been taken. Those were not taken, like mode of nutrition, then cell wall type, then nuclear membrane. These things were not taken. Okay, so this was the biggest problem with this system of classification. Then finally came, yes, five kingdom system of classification. Okay, as you can see here, five kingdom system of classification was proposed by R.H. Whittaker. Okay, and R.H. Whittaker proposed this five kingdom system of classification based on five criteria. Okay, and according to this system, the five kingdoms were Monera, the first one, Monera, then Protista, then Fungi, then Plantae, then Animalia. Okay, and as per this five kingdom system of classification, Monera gave rise to Protista and Protista gave rise to Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. So let us just have a look how these five kingdoms are classified. Okay, what are the basis of the classification? The first basis is the cell type. Monera are prokaryote. That means Monera is the kingdom that includes all the prokaryotic organisms. Protista eukaryotic, fungi eukaryotic, Plantae eukaryotic and Animalia also eukaryotic. So in the five kingdom system of classification, the kingdom that contains only prokaryotes are this one, Monera. Okay. Then the second point of based on which this system of classification was done is cell wall. In case of Monera, the cell wall is present and it is non-cellulosic. Okay, and it is composed of polysaccharide plus amino acid. Now, in case of bacteria, we all know bacteria are prokaryote. In case of bacteria, the cell wall is made up of, we all know it is peptidoglycan. Okay, the name of the component present in the cell wall of bacteria is peptidoglycan. In case of Protista, it is present in some. In case of fungi, cell wall is present and it is consisting of chitin. Okay, chitin is also known as fungal cellulose. Chitin is also known as fungal cellulose. Remember, this is important for exam. Then Plantae cell wall is present and it is made up of cellulose, and in case of animal, cell wall is absent. Then moving on to the next point, that is nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane will be of course absent in case of Monera. Why? Because we all know that Monera contains prokaryotes, right? And prokaryotes does not possess a nuclear membrane. So nuclear membrane will be absent in case of Monera. In case of Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia, in all the cases nuclear membrane will be present because of this point, because they all are eukaryote. So if you can understand point number 1, then you'll be able to write point number 3 of your own. You don't need to memorize point number 3, right? Then the next one is body organization. In case of Monera and Protista, body organization is cellular. Why? Because Monera and Protista consist of unicellular organism. Okay. Although Monera consists of prokaryote and Protista is eukaryote, but both Monera and Protista consist of unicellular organism. So their body organization is cellular. In case of fungi, it's multicellular or loose tissue. In case of plantae, it is tissue or organ. And in case of animalia, tissue or organ system. We know cells make tissue, tissues make organ, organs make organ system. Okay. And the last point is mode of nutrition. In case of Monera, it is autotrophic and heterotrophic as well. In case of Protista, it's autotrophic. Fungi, it's heterotrophic. Mostly they are saprophytic and parasitic. In case of plant, it is autotrophic, and animal, it is heterotrophic. You can find this chart in your NCERT, and I tell you that NCERT is Bible of biology. Okay, those who are aspiring for Neet exam, you should study NCERT and you should not miss a single point that is written in NCERT. Okay, so this is about the 5 kingdom system of classification. Now this is not the end. After 5 kingdom system of classification, there came another system of classification, and that is known as 6 kingdom system of classification. Okay. Now in case of 6 kingdom system of classification, what happened? Let us have a look. Now let me talk about the 6 kingdom system of classification. Basically, the name is not 6 kingdom system. There was a scientist whose name was Carl Woes. Okay, there was a scientist whose name is Carl Woes. So what Carl Woes did? Carl Woes proposed a particular system. That system is known as 3 domain system of classification. 3 domain. Now the question is, what are the 3 domains? The 3 domains were, first one is eubacteria, second one is archaebacteria, and the third one is eukarya. Now basically what this person did, what he did was, he just divided the kingdom Monera into 2 distinct groups, okay, into 2 domains. Because see, I have already mentioned that Monera contains all the prokaryote, unicellular prokaryotes, right? So bacteria should be placed under the kingdom Monera. Now what this person did is he just divided the kingdom Monera into 2 domains. One is eubacteria and the other one is archaebacteria. And the rest other kingdoms were placed in a single domain, that is eukarya. That means eukarya consists of Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia. So if we just divide the kingdom Monera into 2 groups, then finally it gives rise to 6 kingdom system of classification. I think it is clear to all of you. So this 3 domain system of classification finally gave rise to 6 kingdom classification. Okay, 6 kingdom, because Monera kingdom was again divided into eubacteria and archaebacteria. I hope this much is clear to all of you. Now I am going to talk about the separate kingdoms of 5 kingdom classification. Let us begin with the first one, that is Monera. As I have mentioned, Monera kingdom includes all the unicellular prokaryotes, right? Bacteria are the sole members of Monera kingdom. Now bacteria you can find anywhere, okay? You can find it in air, in water, in soil, even on your skin surface, in your body. So everywhere you can find bacteria. Second one is based on the shape. Bacterial shape can be of different types. Mostly they are of four types. First one is spherical. If the bacteria are of spherical shape, it is known as coccus, and in plural it's cocci. And rod shape, it's bacillus, in plural it's bacilli. If it is comma shaped, it's called vibrio. If it is spiral shaped, it's called spirilla. Okay. Now bacteria as a group show most extensive metabolic diversity. This particular statement is very important for your NEET exam. Okay, let me just write it here. This particular statement is very important, and this statement has been taken from NCERT as it is. From particularly this statement, questions are asked in NEET exam. Then bacteria are basically two types. Yes, remember three domain system of classification given by Carl Woes? Yes, one is Archaebacteria and the other one is Eubacteria. Let me just tell you about Archaebacteria and Eubacteria in brief detail. Archaebacteria are those bacteria which are found normally in harsh environmental conditions. Okay, harsh conditions mean, say for example, I am talking about seawater. Seawater contains extremely high concentration of salt. So normally in high salt concentration, bacteria will be unable to survive. But Archaebacteria, they can tolerate extremes of environmental condition, and they can survive in saline water, that means in seawater. You can find these Archaebacteria even in hot spring, that means they can tolerate high temperature range as well. You can find it inside the ruminant animal's gut. They can produce methane gas. So Archaebacteria can be basically classified into three types. Okay, first one is halophile. Halophile. We all know phile comes from philia, that means love, that means organisms that having love for salt. They are halophile. They can tolerate extremes of high salt concentration. Then the next one is thermoacidophile. Thermoacidophile. They are capable of tolerating high temperature as well as high acidity. Phile from philia, that is love. Thermo, high temperature, acidity. They can tolerate high temperature as well as acidic condition. And the third one is methanogens. Methanogens. Okay, you can find this in marshy areas. And moreover, these methanogen, these Archaebacteria play important role in case of biogas production. So biogas plants have this kind of Archaebacteria. The next one is Eubacteria. You all know the term Eu stands for ideal, right? Eu means ideal. So these are the ideal bacteria. So ideal bacteria means they are like all other bacteria. They are prokaryote. We all know they come under Monera kingdom, so they will be obviously prokaryote. Then if they are motile, if they have the ability to move, they will move with the help of a particular structure, and that structure is known as flagella. We will discuss this separate kingdoms in separate video, but now for this video we are just I'm just discussing the major important points. Okay, so Eubacteria contains flagella, and if they are to survive in a situation which is unfavorable, they produce a special structure. It's called spore. Okay, in case of unfavorable condition, they produce a structure. It's known as spore, and since it is produced inside, it's called endospore. So basically endospore, these structures are highly resistant and they give protection to the bacteria. Okay, now bacteria, we all are normally, we think bacteria means it's harmful, it's dangerous, but not exactly. There are many bacteria that have some helpful role also. Like you all know, lactic acid bacteria, they convert milk to curd. So there are n number of examples of these bacteria which are helpful. So we will discuss these things in another video. Okay. So this is all about Monera, and yes, a very important part is that the mode of nutrition. Monera nutrition, as I have mentioned in the chart, that it might be autotrophic as well as heterotrophic. When they can photosynthesize, it's autotrophic. When they cannot, it's heterotrophic. And the bacteria that can photosynthesize are known as photosynthetic bacteria, like cyanobacteria. Okay, these are the member kingdom. These are cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria is also regarded as blue-green algae. Okay, it's also known as blue-green algae, or in short BGA. Now you can see green, right? Green means it will obviously contain a green pigment. That means chlorophyll A is present here, and that is the reason why cyanobacteria is regarded as the photosynthetic bacteria. And another most important point is the presence of heterocyst. What is that? Heterocyst is a special structure which you can find in cyanobacteria, and this is required for nitrogen fixation. The next kingdom among the 5 kingdom classification is this one, that is Protista. Okay. Now let me talk about the characteristic features of the kingdom Protista. First of all, it contains organisms which are unicellular eukaryotic. Next point, it is regarded as the dustbin of 5 kingdom. Why? Because the organisms which were not finding any place anywhere in the 5 kingdom has been placed here in Protista. Okay. The third point is the members of the kingdom Protista are mostly aquatic in nature. And the kingdom Protista includes 5 groups. First one is chrysophyte. Chrysophyte includes diatoms and golden algae. Golden algae is also known as desmids. Second one is dinoflagellate. The third one is euglenoids. Fourth one is slime molds. And the fifth one is protozoa. Okay. Now we will discuss about these different categories in a separate video. So let me start with the next kingdom, that is kingdom fungi. Fungi, the study of fungi is known as mycology. First point says that unique kingdom of heterotrophic organism, because fungi are the organisms that are unable to photosynthesize. That means they are not autotrophic, they are heterotrophic organisms. Then they are cosmopolitan in nature. Cosmopolitan means they are found everywhere. Air, water, soil, everywhere. Then the third point, we normally know that fungi are multicellular, but there are some exceptions. And yeast is that exception, because yeast is an example of unicellular fungi. Please remember that this is important for exam. Fungal body is known as thallus. It is made up of colorless filamentous structure which is called hyphae. Now hyphae with branches or sub-branches make a complex network, and that network is known as mycelium. Okay. Then cell wall. We know that fungus contains cell wall, and the component is chitin or fungal cellulose. Now I have a question for the viewers. Can you name any other organism that contains chitin? If you know the answer, write in the comment section. Then fungus are the major decomposers. Yes, bacteria are also decomposers, but along with bacteria, fungi are also used as decomposers. Then the nutrition. Depending on nutrition, they can be divided into 3 classes. First one is saprophytic, when it depends on the decayed material for food. Then parasitic, it depends on living organisms for food. And the third one is symbiotic relationship. Now we know that when 2 organisms remain close with each other, when one organism helps the other and the other one in turn helps the one, that means 2 organisms helping each other is called symbiotic relationship. Fungus, when present in symbiotic relationship with algae, it's known as lichen. And when it is in symbiotic relationship with the roots of higher plants, this is known as mycorrhiza. And fungi are divided into 4 classes. The first one is Phycomycetes. The another name of Phycomycetes is algal fungi. Then the second one is Ascomycetes. The other name is sac fungi. Basidiomycetes, it is known as club fungi, or Deuteromycetes, it's known as fungi imperfecti. Okay, so as I have already just mentioned that I'll make a separate video on these kingdoms. Okay, and the last 2 kingdoms are plant kingdom and animal kingdom. I'm not going into the detail of plant kingdom and animal kingdom in this video because these 2 kingdoms are the biggest of all. So definitely I'll make separate video. So if you like this video, please share this with your friends and please don't forget to subscribe this channel because this is a very new channel. This is a very new journey. So I need all your blessings and all your support. Okay. And finally, I would like to ask few questions. Those who have watched this lecture will be able to give the right answer. Okay. And if you can, please write in the comment section below. My first question is, who proposed 4 kingdom classification? Okay. Then my next question, what is the component of bacterial cell wall? Okay. Then my third question is, what is the other name of Basidiomycetes? So these are the questions that I would like to ask my students to check how much attentive you were during the lecture. Okay. So thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Bye.